Welcome back. We've got a whole lot more territory to cover, so we're going to dive right into the next question on sex. How can a wife show passion to her spouse when he shows no interest at all? I don't understand this question. How can a wife show passion to her spouse when he shows no interest? Anybody have any idea what this question is asking? Because I don't.
I do. There's something going on in your husband's life at this point when you're trying to show passion and romance and love, and he just wants to sit in front of a television or a video game. I know how deeply you are hurting. There's something going on mentally and emotional in him right now, and you need to be there for that. And maybe the way to be there for that isn't necessarily passion and romance and emotion. It's a much deeper emotional thing.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Great answer. If he's sitting on the couch playing Xbox while you're trying to be romantic, that can get real frustrating. Next 3 questions all have to do with pornography. Found my teenage child with pornography. 1 question, what do I do? Next question, I'm trying to protect my children against pornography. What do I do? 3rd question, if our children have brought pornography into the house, how am I supposed to handle it? And can I tell you, before we even get into answering these questions, what you're hearing today is how universal pornography is impacting relationships and families and marriages, even Christian marriages. So guys, how do you tackle pornography?
I think if this is coming from a parent trying to either protect or shield their child, or parent, hey, I've now discovered a child has introduced this into the home, there's some resources available to help with that. I think first though, as the parent, you're still in control of all of the technologies and stuff within your home, right? So there should never be a password that your kid has that you don't have, whether it's on a computer or on a phone or on an iPad. If they're in your house, as my dad would say, it's my house, my rules. Everything you have is on loan for me anyway. And I was like, I understand that, Dad. All right. So if your kid has a computer in the bedroom, probably not a good idea for them to have a computer in the bedroom by themselves. They put that out in a more public place in the house where there's more supervision. If there's passwords on phones or on iPads, you as the parent, you have to know those things. And if the kid, well, what about my privacy? Again, it's your house. There is no privacy,
That's
right? That trust is earned over time. And as soon as that trust has been broken, or as soon as that trust has been severed, then it takes a lot of hard work to rebuild some of that, and it can. But there's some really good applications online. Triple X Church is one of those that has a really, really good filtering system that you can put on your phones, on your iPads, on your computers that connects with email addresses to other people that you say, hey, I want you to know anytime I go anywhere, if it is even remotely questionable, you'll get an email or you'll get a text message from this particular site that says, hey, yeah, so-and-so's going here, you might want to know about it because they're probably not going to tell you. And then I would add this, and I'll let these guys also answer. As much as you want to freak out, don't freak out. The initial reaction is, oh my goodness, why? And you can almost in a way discredit yourself with your kid to where this is already an untalked about thing among parents to kids, and it really needs to be a talked about thing. But the awkwardness and culture says, no, this is one of the things we just can't talk about, right? But this is not something that is spoken about at the dinner table. And it very much should be. I think there'd be a lot less issues if dad talked to their kids about the dangers of this and what this does. And also if dad would talk to their kid about, hey, look, here's how you really honor yourself. Here's how you guard yourself. And here's how you honor your future spouse. Those are conversations that should be happening that aren't happening, which allows a lot of this to get into a person's home, a kid's heart, a kid's mind, that kind of thing.
Wow, you just heard a great answer to all of those questions. Those all have the same answer, and that's it right there. Next question, guys. I'm assuming this is from a Christian married couple. How often should we have sex?
as often as you agree about it. Is that pretty fair based on what we've answered before?
Yeah. Based on what the scriptures teach, mutually agreed upon, have sex that often. Here's the truth. I've talked to couples that have sex twice a day, every day, that she's not menstruating. I have talked to couples that have sex twice a week. I talked to couples that have sex twice a month, and they're all okay with it. Because they've talked about it, they've agreed upon it, that's an acceptable amount of sex for them. So it doesn't matter if it's twice a day, twice a week, twice a month, as long as it's mutually agreed upon.
Yeah.
I think it's dangerous if somebody tells you should be having sex X amount of times. That's stupid. Whoever tells you that, don't listen to them. They're morons.
Right.
Next question. I'm going to get angry at whoever wrote this question. Why do pastors avoid 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verses 3 through 5? You know what? I'm going to avoid this question because I don't know. We are not a team that avoids any teachings from Scripture.
That's right.
And though we have been blasted, some of us, by this sermon series, we refuse to avoid anything in Scripture, even those controversial or tough to talk about topics. So I'm not gonna.
And I believe you actually preached from this passage
Yeah.
the other day.
This question came in,
We've
and then I
mentioned that
preached from it.
passage in this session.
Yeah,
right.
like I don't know who you're talking about, but you certainly ain't talking about
about
any
us.
of us for it.
right.
So if other pastors avoid it, that's between them and Jesus. I find it extra hard to feel up to romance when my husband is being, I'm going to use my language, not theirs, a jerk. When he's riding the kids hard. And then the question cut off because they didn't have enough time to ask the rest of the question. So I'm going to assume the question is, how do I be romantic with a jerk?
Fair question.
That's a very difficult question because there's an element of hurt and pain in that question. This is a wife who loves her husband.
By the
who
way, she
wants-
didn't call her a jerk. I did. If you're the jerk that your wife didn't call you that, Jeff did.
There's a woman who loves her husband who wants to show her husband that she loves him, and he is non-responsive. So for her,
I think the question is more, I'm so turned off by the way what I see,
how he
the
acts.
way
The
that the
other
man
Right.
acts in
I
our
got you,
home.
yeah.
That how am I supposed to get turned on when we turn the lights off?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the question. And there's just as much pain in this. How am I
Yeah.
supposed to get turned on after this guy has turned me off so bad about the way that he acts in the home?
I think there's a common answer to this one, much like some of the other questions of, does he know that about himself from you? Like, have you and him eyeball to eyeball talked about, hey, and you're really riding the kids hard, because that's part of that question, how he's treating the kids. Yeah, maybe we can back off a little bit, or it's just how you do that. Maybe it's not what you're doing, but it's how you do that. And what that's doing is causing us a lot of pain, and it's causing me not to want to really be romantic toward you. But I know that's not an option, right? It's not an option, but you're not really giving me much of one. But have you given him the courtesy of the eyeball to eyeball? Hey, we need to talk about how we're acting within the home. And if that has happened and you haven't seen much change from that, then maybe now it's some time for some real counseling to take place between you and him, with some professional counselors, some Christian counselors. Go somewhere that's going to give you good, godly counsel, and maybe that might be a next step for you.
Okay. I'm going to take this question. I'm going to word it just a little bit different. Exact same question. What if she's asking the question, I'm trying to be romantic to him, but the way that he conducts himself has affected the way that I look at him, and so I withhold sex. She didn't say this. I'm making this up. I withhold sex until that man starts to act the way that he's supposed to act as a husband or as a father. How would you answer that, lady guys?
Sex should never be used as a tool.
Right. That is incredibly dangerous, and I think you're introducing some other potential downfalls within your marriage if you as a spouse, either husband or wife, are going to withhold sex as punishment.
Yeah. Because what you've essentially done is you've entered into a manipulation form of relationship. And a negotiational kind of, and you have left a biblical approach to marriage. You have left the concept of 1 Corinthians 13 of what love really is. You have left the biblical marriage relationship when all of a sudden I'm going to manipulate for something. So that's a very dangerous place to get this whole, well, I won't give him this, I won't give him sex until he does whatever. That's a very dangerous place for a marriage because it leads downhill very quickly. Because all of a sudden we've taken the physical component of our relationship and we're manipulating it. We're taking the emotional part of our relationship and we're manipulating it. And we're taking the spiritual aspect of our relationship and it's a highly dangerous place to be.
And you're also changing the definition of sex in that moment, but you're making it all about you in that sense.
Selfish.
It's become 100% selfish now, and you've eliminated the fact that sex is first a gift from God for His glory, right? And if you're saying, well, I'm just going to withhold this and not give Him this until these things change, well, now you've made sex all about you as if it's the one that brings you glory. And no, it's not meant to bring you glory. That's meant that's meant to God, right? And it's for our good. But now you've kind of changed the rules on what sex is, and it's not a good thing there.
Ladies, I'm going to pile on the bandwagon here, and I hope you're hearing honestly what we're saying. I'm not using this word lightly, but what you just heard is exactly true. And the language that I would use here is you're becoming a prostitute. You're prostituting yourself to get your way using sex as the tool to get your way. And a prostitute takes a gift of God, the gift of sex, and uses it for selfish gain. And that, strictly speaking, is prostitution. You're just asking for the husband to treat me a little bit better, and then I'll give him some sex. Or the husband to act better towards the kids, and then I'll give him some sex. And that's not at all the way the scriptures describe sex, man. You're doing great harm to the good gift of sex that God has created within a Christian marriage. Ladies, don't prostitute yourself. Don't sell sex inside of marriage to get your way. Hey, that's a little bit of what we're trying to cover with you today. There are more videos coming. Check them out on our YouTube channel.